Right.
Okay, so getting hit from the right, so he's
shooting
out the window.
He's shooting out the window.
And his driver's backing up, and he's talking on the radio.
He's on the radio. He had his doggone rifle and his pistol.
Shooting at the same damn time.
At the same time. And when I picked him up, he was like this.
Alpha was off by trying to go to this other location that we just gave them, and they wound up going kind of in basically a box canyon, a dead end and they had to turn around. But they're turning around. That area was basically an ambush site. Yep. So they're under fire trying to turn around. That's
because they hit that dead end.
Because they hit that dead end.
Yeah.
Well, turning around, and White got hit, and then Gunny's trying, and the other vehicle is trying to call in the medevac.
They're being actively shot at. This dead end.
While we're trying to turn around.
Yeah, while they're trying to turn around.
So we were behind all of the tracks. So there's tank platoon, 13 tracks, and then our 2 soft skin Humvees. And so Gunny had us pull up next to the Amtrak so we could use them for cover because we were still being shot at.
From that one side? Okay.
Yeah, so we pull up next to the Amtraks, and then Gunny says, we need to back up and turn around. So I start backing up. White gets hit in the wrist, and he's sitting right next to me, and you can see the bullets just tearing through the soft skin Humvee because somebody had an RPK right on the corner waiting for us to start backing up. So we start backing up, and it just shreds the cab of our truck. And so I keep backing up, and I jumped on my radio and said, hey, Gunny, White's hit. I need to get him out of the truck. So I'm bandaging him, backing up. Gunny starts backing up with Gauthier. They were in the truck in front of us. And Gunny's like, all right, I'll call in the medevac. And he calls First Sergeant. First Sergeant starts communicating with Gunny about getting White help. And at the same time, Gunny's engaging targets off to the side. And that's when he got hit, was as he's backing up. And there was just nothing we could do.
Gunny was in the front passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was like, what was he? You're getting hit from the left?
We were getting hit from the right.
Right.
Okay, you're getting hit from the right. So he's
He's
shooting out the window.
He's shooting out the window.
And his driver's backing up, and he's talking on the radio.
He's on the radio. He had his doggone rifle and his pistol.
Shooting at the same damn time.
At the same time. And when I picked him up, he was like this.
Right
And the radio was right there.
Radio, everything's still on.
Yeah.
And you were in the vehicle right behind him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw
I could see all the rounds
all
going
the rounds
through their
going
truck
through
too.
their truck.
Yeah.
Did the firing eventually stop?
No.
No.
It kept going.
The RPK that got Gunny got taken out by some special forces guys who had an M79 and shot the
That's like a
target with an
203.
M79.
Oh,
it's
with
like
a
a
grenade?
203 that
it's
breech
just-
loads.
Yeah. Okay. So the M79.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
old weapon.
Yeah.
Vietnam era.
Interesting. Like with the wooden stock?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Good weapon, especially if you know how to use it.
Why?
Because it doesn't have, if you're shooting at night, it does not have a muzzle flash. It doesn't have anything that shows. So you can shoot at night and not give your position away.
So they shot that RPK gunner with an M79, blew him up, and then it stopped after that.
Well, it stopped that RPK,
Stopped
but
that
there,
RPA.
but there was still
There's still other rounds flying around
Still
everywhere.
rounds flying
I mean, you
all
have to
over the
think,
place.
right? This is an entire convoy. It was a
Tons of
tank. It was a tank, basically like a Jeep Wrangler with like some CAG guys, right? If I
Oh,
remember,
wow.
sir. Yeah. And
Some
that's
tag
who's-
guys were in your
That's
convoy?
right.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then us, right? It was like my vehicle that I happen to be in, and then the rest of it, right? But it's an entire convoy.
Like
And
a
you're trying to
massive-
turn this around, right? Just turning around one tank or one AAV, I mean, it's time consuming. And then you add 14 extra, and you're getting shot at from all directions. I mean, everywhere.
That's chaos.
Yeah.
We
It
had to have
was.
at least a dozen WIA at that point.
I was
Really?
I was thinking that by this time I was thinking I had lost a platoon at
You were
least.
probably
at least.
unbelievably stressed.
Total
Like hearing what's going on over the radio, because you
Yeah.
weren't right
40
in that area, right?
I was
44 injured,
44?
44 Purple Heart guys. But I didn't know only about 12 when we were in the fight. That's all I knew about.
Oh, wow.
Well, and that's for your
Until
company.
after
That's
the
your
fight.
company. That's just your
Yes.
company.
Yeah.
And so we had wounded upwards of like 100.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
only one KIA.
Only one.
Yeah,
That is
Yeah,
miraculous.
it's nothing short of a miracle. I mean, some of the things that I saw, some of the things that just should not have.
And
I
third
was thinking-
platoon was locked down and when Lieutenant Horton called and said, "Hey, sir, we can't see anything," and then he said, "We need air," and I said, "Air?" I said, "They told us we don't have no air."
Yeah.
That's when I called
Yeah,
the
well,
tank
that was it.
commander,
Yeah.
and he said, "For sure, we don't have no
We
air."
didn't have any close inside fire support, attack helicopter support. We were supposed to have that priority of the division for that, so, for the whole division.
Yeah.
And it was too hot. It was too hot for them, so they took off. And then, but the next day, we had cast stacks over us, they were at different altitudes.
They came
Yeah.
and quiet everything.
And it was Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps. They were all up there. And it was the A-10 that actually we call it that A-10 came in and what?
You told them.
Yeah,
"Hey,
it was that
put
was
your head down."
Spanky. The fact for Ray Lawler. Lawler was his name. Scott. I don't forget his first name, but Lawler, Captain Lawler, was the air officer or the fact for Alpha Company. And he said, "Okay, you guys want to put your heads down because this is going to get a little squirrely." And the A-10 was because they had to make sure they were talking and both seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
That what we were looking at on the ground was the same thing that the pilot was seeing. And so he came in and said, "I'm just going to give a burst of my cannon just to make sure we have the right target." And that's when he said, "Put your heads down, fellas." And he came in and then you see the cannon impact and it was in the right place. And then he said, "Oh, that's it." And then the whole cast stack saw that. So they all knew where to go. And that was
cut
the
the front of that
mosque.
building
That was the
off.
mosque.
Oh, it was the
Yeah,
mosque.
that was
Were
the
they
mosque.
holed up in the mosque?
Yeah, there was a bunch of, because he had been there. Saddam Hussein
Yeah,
had been
we
there.
missed him by 2
We missed him.
hours.
We missed him just by a
Really?
little bit.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
would have made it, but because we got pinned down,
We got pinned down.
he had time to escape.
Yeah,
But yes, I believe, and I'm sure these
Yeah.
gentlemen do, was like, if,
that was a near miss.
yeah.
So when this scenario was unfolding in that the dead end, was this at night or during the
Oh,
daytime?
still nighttime.
It was still
night.
nighttime.
It's
so it was
early
still-
morning hours though.
It was
but
like
they're
that.
still
3 o'clock in
dark.
the morning.
Was there any illume at all? Like
Nothing.
No.
not really.
No.
Well, by the time we turned around, the sun had started to come up.
It took that long to
That's
turn
correct.
around, like
Yeah.
hours
Yeah.
Right.
of being shot at and trying to turn an entire giant
Yeah.
convoy around.
But that wasn't the whole battalion.
It was
That
just
was
a
company.
portion.
That was a
Our
portion.
company.
Yeah, it's just
That
Alpha
was a portion.
company, right?
That was Alpha. And then we had Bravo going off to where they were, going to look for those POWs. And then we had Charlie that was getting us into the compound.
Yep.
Was Charlie? Not that it was Bravo that got us into the compound. I think Charlie was the one that went to the
Charlie went to
the
the
POWs,
POW,
and then Bravo got
was
us into the compound.
in the compound.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was Captain Smith was the
Yeah.
one that said, I got the way
Yeah.
here. So, yeah.
Yeah, we almost drove over the river too. At
Yeah.
one point, we almost went over the river into the army section of Baghdad
Which would have been bad.
because they would have seen us coming across and not known that Marines were coming across and seen our
Yeah.
vehicles and
There could have been some problems.
could have been blue on blue instead
Yeah,
of.
it could have been.
Yeah.
And it could have been blue on blue on ourselves. I was worried about that
Yeah.
for ourselves because we had breaks in contact and we had convoys going. One convoy, the one huge convoy has split into multiple convoys, and we were actually meeting each other, at different intersections. And so it took a lot of presence of mind and just being really aware of you having good situational awareness to make sure we weren't firing on each other.
Yeah.
So,
And it's tough because if you're taking contact from one street
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're firing at that street, like you don't know what's beyond that
well,
building.
yeah, and
sometimes.
the SGZs of those weapon systems is pretty, they're a lot longer than you think.
Yeah. So if
And they-
somebody's
and
in a 50
and
cal or
they,
something.
and they will go through, well, most of those buildings will go right through.
Yeah.
It's urban environment, it's as sharp as this corner right here, and technology wasn't what it is today,
Yeah.
and it's very easy to get disaggregated and discombobulated, but yeah, by the grace of God, no blue on blue.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God and really good Marines, it all came together at the end. I don't know how it did, except for just to say that these were great Marines,
They
that
executed.
everybody knew what they needed to do and they did it.
They
Yeah, I mean,
made us pretty upset when they killed Gunny.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We wanted to accomplish a mission for him.
I can imagine that dead end road. Like did you start getting shot at as you were going the whole way down the road, or did it start happening after you had come to a stop?
At first, it almost felt like we were dashing into the dead end road to take cover from the fire.
Okay.
And so that's what it felt like when we were driving up next to the Amtrak's, because we were like, okay, nobody's shooting at us from the left.
Yeah.
We got fire coming from the right. Let's dash in there. And then they came out of the buildings next to us.
Yeah.
And that's when
Everybody was shooting, returning
over.
fire.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you said you guys started backing up because you guys were taking some pretty heavy RPK fire, and that's when he got hit. And what was the name of his driver?
Gauthier.
Gauthier. And what was he doing while this is all going? Was he
He's
continuing to try to
engaging
back
targets out of,
When
he's
he-
shooting out of the left and backing up at the same
up and
time.
driving?
Yeah.
And he got on the radio though, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
got
did.
on calm
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
let
right.
me know what's
And
going on.
he was the one that told
He's the
you?
one that told me where he was at, and I told him we're coming.
Okay.
And that's when I took off with my track, and we just went in there, and I just I had the driver, I had a corpsman in the back, and I only had the team leader for the tracker, but he was on that doggone gun
Okay.
up top.
Didn't you have a
And
renter with you too?
Yeah, and then I
Renter
had
Harris?
my M16.
Yeah.
And we burn up everything we had to get to him. And we got Gunny and Gauthier inside the back and all the security stuff out that vehicle. And I said, let's go. And we got out of there.
So you drove up to where
I
that
drove
dead end
up
was
there with the dead end to
while
pick him
people
up.
were still trying to turn around?
Yeah.
And you guys basically just pulled Gunny out of the vehicle
Yeah.
and you brought him into the
Brought
back?
him into the
And
back.
he was already unconscious?
Yeah,
at
he was
this point?
already dead when I got him.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, already. When I got him out
He
of
was
the
killed
vehicle.
instantly.
Yeah.
he
Oh,
was-
instantly?
Yeah,
was in
he
the
was
head.
killed on impact. He knew what hit him.
It was like right under the lip of his Kevlar.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that it was an instant thing. He wasn't suffering through
No.
anything. He
No.
wasn't bleeding out. Okay. And so that's why he was in that same position that
Yep.
he was in when he got
Yeah.
hit. And you were told by Gauthier what had happened before you got there, so you already knew what you
Yeah,
were walking
already
into.
knew that
He was
he,
gone.
he was gone.
Okay. And what about Gauthier? You took him in the vehicle?
Yeah,
as well?
he stayed with me the whole time after that.
Oh, you had White with you,
Yeah,
didn't
I
you? First
had
sergeant?
White. Yeah,
Because
those
White
guys.
I bandaged up his hand and he ran over to First Sergeant's track.
Yeah, I stuck
Okay.
White inside the track, and then that's when Gauthier
He got
told me
medevaced
he
out by
got
the helicopters,
Yeah.
right? White did. Yeah.
And where did White get hit?
White
right
in the
through
wrist.
The wrist. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was your actual,
He was, my assistant driver.
your A driver.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was the one that was talking on the radio while you were driving and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You were both driving high backs
Yeah, we're both driving high backs.
with ammo, anything other than
To the
just ammo?
rafters.
Just to the rafters.
Ammos and ammo, food, water.
What did you do? What happened to all the ammo?
We transferred everything into my
Yeah.
track.
Oh, you did? Okay. You
Yeah.
moved all the ammo into
Yeah.
the track.
And then I drove my truck behind First Sergeant's track the rest of the way.
And where did you guys go from there? Did you go
Inside
to?
the palace, straight to the palace.
Oh, so you
yeah.
did get to deliver everything that you were
Yeah.
aiming to deliver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it ultimately got done. It just took a while to get
they
out of
didn't
there.
go. They didn't go to the mosque.
Yeah.
They came to the palace because they had a medevac, and then of course they had Gunny.
Get Gunny.
So you called a medevac into the palace,
Yeah.
so that
that's
way you
right.
could just meet them when you got there.
Battalion already had it coming for White, so when the medevac was coming for White at the same time, that's when we just had Gunny.
How fast did everybody find out?
It went over our company comms.
it went quick.
It went over
Everybody
company comms,
knew.
so everybody knew.
I remember
Everybody
hearing
knew.
it in the back of the AV on the squad.
Squad
Yeah.
box.
Was it the squawk box or was it the little black handhelds we had?
I heard it on the squawk
Yeah,
box.
it wasn't on the battalion tack though.
No, it was on the company tack that
and it be-
we hit
We just
because
heard.
we haven't
All I
told.
heard was Gunny got hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
then I heard
And
that.
Yeah.
then a medevac is
Yeah.
en route.
The medevac was
Casevac
en
is
route.
So you didn't know what that necessarily
No.
meant.
No,
We
none
didn't
of them,
know-
nobody on
We
the
didn't know
ground,
that
they didn't know.
he had passed. We just knew that he was hit and that was it. And we were still in the fight.